Time for a little track surgery.
Train, 16 coaches long.
Well, back after it again today. And first of all, I want to thank all these folks that comment and give me a hand on this thing. TV Tom's, Wicked Insanity, Dave, FR, Jeff, and Dan's Grand Valley. I'll link some stuff up in the top corner here with for Dan's Grand Valley. He's got a lot of good stuff going there. I wish I'd have found him a lot earlier, but I didn't. But do a little track surgery. I'm going to take this corner that was giving me a little bit of a hard time. It was working fine. It finally started working fine, but I'm going to go ahead and see if I can level it up. I had Dave, FR, whatever that is, Dave FR. He told me to get a 1 inch by 2 inch credit card and put it on the track and run it down the track and see if I had any light. My eyesight's not the best. I spun that card sideways and I just ran it down, and you could feel it. You can close your eyes and you could feel where you have bad areas. So his way worked good, but I can really feel it. I mean, you can really feel it. There is a dip in this area right here, and then the track, I could feel the track tilting to this side. I mean, I can really feel it. So what I did, went in and cleaned off all my ballast off of this side all the way down to where I felt a dip. Where the middle of the dip was right about here, and this right here was just a V. It was a solid V. So I cleaned off a little bit from here to here. I cut into the track on the side here because I can't get anything into there, and then I went into the back side here. Very little to clean up, but what it allows me to do, and stole some tongue depressor popsicle sticks from my wife's stash, and I gonna shim like everybody that's made comments said I should have shimmed it up front, and boy, I wish I'd have found your comments a lot earlier. But what I did, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these popsicle sticks and I'm going to work one underneath that high point. And I want to work it all the way across. And instead of trying to jam another one on top, I'm going to go underneath. And I'm going to build it up a little bit. Then I'm going to see if it feels any better. That right there with 2 shims, I can just barely feel it. So I'm going to try 3. I can see it moving a little bit. It's gone. It's gone. It's totally gone. How about that? So now, I don't even want to move that. What I want to do is I'm going to leave that just like it is. I'm going to nick these popsicle sticks out of here and cut these off. That's perfect. Let me try. Now, see, it looks like it's rolling farther down here. It's not a stopping right as soon as it gets there. So it did make that curve a little more slanted, and it feels better. But you can see the cart, how it tilts to the outside this turn. It tilts as it goes around. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear it underneath here, and I'm gonna try to jack up the side. Okay, let me play with this. I'm gonna try to put a few here and here and get this track to tilt up more so it doesn't dip on this outside rail. Okay, I'll be back with you. Okay, let's see how it works. That thing goes nice and smoothly up and down the hill now and it rocks just a little bit back and forth right here, but it's not as bad as what it was. It actually rocks to the inside a little bit, which I'd rather it do anyway. So, Frankenstein again, but this is what it took to get this track back up and level. It's got 3 small half shims underneath the track here, and then 3, and then 2 down at the end to kind of level it off. I didn't go all the way. On these 3, I just went underneath this portion of the track just to kind of help tilt it up a little bit. And it seems to be just fine. Let me see what it feels like with the card. You know, it feels good. I can feel it rock a little bit to the inside and then level off. Yep, I think I'm good. I may have to back this one off just a little bit. I'm gonna take this one out. That's perfect. I mean, perfect. Well, the next thing I did, I got all these things cleaned off and they're all trimmed up, getting ready to resculpt the mold these and doctor that all up. But one thing I noticed when I leaned down here really close was that this rail connector here on this side, apparently when I soldered it, it had a little bit of an angle to it that was causing that dip too. So I brought out the soldering iron and I put a little gentle persuader underneath it and just reheated it up and bent it up a little bit, and that track is nice and lined up and straight here now. So all I got left to do is doctor this back up a little bit. And this sculpt mold is some awesome stuff, man. It's just, you just I only made a little tiny little batch, squirted some water on top of it, and it's basically paper mache. But boy, it's nice and smooth, and it fills in nice. And I know I'm not the first one to find this, but I just like the stuff. And I can form it to how I want it. Fill in stuff that I don't want real deep. A little bit more over there. I like it. That looks good. Some on the back side. Never even know I was in there. This stuff actually sets up harder than that plaster did. And it's, we're gonna call that good. Let her dry up. I think it says about 15-minute working time on it. Okay, get it off. I think I'm gonna attack that area over there just prior to the bridge, because there's a big disconnect problem over there with cars on it. Not all the cars, but some. But once the locomotive comes up onto the bridge, it's higher than the track is behind it, and it causes a little whipperdill there. So I'm gonna mess with the shims on this side of this track a little bit. Maybe try to get one in there and just see if it helps that a little bit. Elected to go ahead and just small slices in the side here and 2 little wedges on each one of these. And this little area right here is perfect. Okay, that's that area. And this area, I'm gonna clean this one up now. Then I'm gonna go attack that bridge over there. Then I'm gonna go by Dan's Grand Valley thing, and I'm gonna fix these crossings. He has a method again, and I'll show you up here. If you click that, you could see it. And I'll have to find the gizmos to get in here and clean these out, because like he was saying, these things just ride up. They ride up and they give the look as though they want to jump off the track when they hit these crossings. And that's apparently a track flaw. So I'll get on that next. Okay, we're gonna move on here. We got this Dan's Grand Valley. He had a video, and I'll put it right there. I've always wanted to do that and see if I can make that work. And these crossings are an issue. I've noticed that the trains ride up on them, and in his video that I just showed you up there explains how to do this. And he's got a video to do it, so if you want to watch his, that's cool too. He's got some good stuff. But he used a wheel, a grinding wheel, and I found, and Tom also had a file that he found that worked really well. So I found one that was narrow gauge that I just happened to have, and it fit in there pretty good. And I just worked my way in cleaning this track out this direction, this direction, this direction, and this direction. And I cleaned them out really good. So it opens up the track width there a little bit. Hopefully, you know what, it couldn't hurt a thing, but I think it's gonna run a lot smoother. The other thing that I noticed is, since that's the same width as this groove up in here, that I would run it alongside of my track on the roads and clean some of these roads up. And I cleaned a lot of material out of there. So they were riding kind of rough on the roads. So I went ahead and cleaned these 2 tracks. And these 2, I cleaned these out. These will probably work a lot better. And I figured I'd just show you this one. And if I can get it to bite. I just ran it upside there until I felt the rails. And you could tell when you hit the rails. Well, I just got it down through there, and you can see the material that I did get out of it that was in the way. Apparently, it wasn't as good as it could have been, but I did take out a lot more of the material. And we'll vacuum that up. All I got to do now is get some color back on them without filling all the grooves back in again. Hey, just give a recap of the day. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that gave me all the ideas and the hints and tips to get this thing worked out. But this part of the track over here is now fine and dandy. Got it all fixed up. It's drying, and I'll finish the prettiness stuff to it later. I used this file to clean all along each one of these roadways, and boy, these things flow right through these roadways now, and they don't give any no rocking or nothing. So this little file works like a champ. Cleaned all the crossings, cleaned the road beds here, crossings here, and I had to solder. Apparently I missed these 2 solders here on this track connection, and that's the only thing I could see why this thing would hesitate coming across here because this has its own power right here, and the next drop is over here, so it should. There's no reason why it wasn't getting power. I shimmed out over here a little bit. Now this thing doesn't rock to the outside. Got to kind of doctor up and fix up here a little bit. Over there on the bridge, I shimmed. It took 3 shims to get that thing to not have a rock to the right hand side going across the bridge, and it was rather dramatic. Now it does still have a lift. When the engine goes up over and onto the bridge, it settles down and it's not the same level as that track, and that may be something to look at way before where I'm at right now. So if you get into the fixing of this track or putting this track together, make sure you keep an eye on that up front, so it doesn't become a problem where I'm at right now. Okay, we're gonna call it a day, and I want to thank everybody again for the help, and we're gonna move on a little bit.